Good morning. What's going on? It's beginning. It's starting. Our southern storm is getting its act together, and it's already snowing and freezing, raining in places in Texas this morning. Eastern New Mexico too. 6:03 in the morning on January 9th. Happy Friday Eve. Makes the weekend seem closer. And this the bullseye is gonna be probably Dallas through the Red River Valley into Arkansas and then into Tennessee. So we'll outline it for you. In fact, as we look at the hazards this morning, that's kind of what we see here with those winter storm warnings from Dallas and the Red River Valley into eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, a little bit of Louisiana, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, into Georgia, even parts of Missouri. A little bit more snow for you. How about that? Southern Illinois into southern Indiana, Kentucky as well. Further east, it's winter storm watches as the storm will get there later in the weekend. And then you see a lot of winter weather advisories stretching all the way from southern New Mexico through far west Texas, central Texas, through Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, all the way up into Ohio. We still see a little bit of lake action with some winter weather advisories up there in the eastern Great Lakes, and a little bit of West Virginia with both winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. And then our freeze warnings persisting in Florida into southern Georgia, a little bit of Alabama now, extreme southern Mississippi into Louisiana around New Orleans, and we have freeze warnings this morning in southern Arizona. Winter weather advisories there in the Rockies and Colorado, parts of Wyoming, and up into Montana. It's back to a winter storm watch and some high wind watches there as well. We still have our problems in California. They're getting better. The wind is starting to ease in Southern California, but just that tragic situation there was still fires out of control and a red flag warning there. All right, let's take a look at our weather spotlight starting in Dallas, Texas. What to expect: snow and sleet. There you go. Slow and sleet. Accumulations 2 to 5 inches in the warning area, which includes Dallas, Fort Worth, almost to Mineral Wells, up through Denton, Sherman, Greenville, Paris. And I misspoke yesterday. The county between Denison and Greenville is Grayson County. That's where my grandson lives. Anyway. Mix of sleet and snow up to 2 inches and maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice in the advisory area, which is further south, including Waco and over to Cisco and Graham. And the second part of our weather spotlight takes us into Memphis, Tennessee. And we're looking for things to start maybe tonight, 6 p.m., but through 6 a.m. Saturday. And as we'll see on the European model, prime time is going to be really getting into Friday. So anyway, Memphis is looking for 2 to 6 inches. So they've left themselves a lot of room there with some locally higher amounts, and we'll go through those amounts right now. This is the GFS through Saturday, 6 a.m. So the reason why I picked that is because the storm is going to be all the way off the coast, and so this should be your total snowfall from the entire event, starting now until Saturday morning. And again, the Dallas area, 6, 7, 8 inches through the Red River. Really, Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, widespread 6 to 8 inches. Northern Mississippi as well. It drops off a little bit in Memphis on this one, about 4 inches or so for you. And we even see a little bit of snow back there in eastern New Mexico. Lubbock getting kind of skunked. A little more than a ½ inch, but then you get over to Clovis, Portales, and of course, they're more like 4 to 5. All right, the European has a slightly different answer to that. A little bit more snow coverage in West Texas, even a little bit of snow for El Paso. But then as you get into the Dallas area, we're still looking at amounts around 6 inches, even higher amounts as you head up to the Red River. And eastern Oklahoma, there's a bullseye there in Arkansas of over a foot. And then you get over to northern Mississippi, 6, 7 inches. But again, a drop off for Memphis, about 4 inches on the European. What about ice? Well, that's not good. This is the GFS. And it looks like a lot of ice for central Texas all the way up through the Dallas area into southern Arkansas. However, the European has much less ice. And I have a feeling it's going to be somewhere in between. So there will be some icing problems in parts of Texas into Arkansas, it looks like. All right, to this morning. Here's where we look right now. This is compared to average, and it is much below average for the Midwest through the Southeast up into the Northeast and the Great Lakes, and also don't forget down there in southern Arizona, southern New Mexico, much below average. It's cold this morning by their standards. And Northern Plains warmer than average. The temperature change shows that. The Northern Plains really heating up, I guess, since yesterday. But even here, so like western Iowa where I live, we're about 10 degrees warmer than yesterday at this time. And earlier this morning it was 10. Yesterday morning it was 0. So 10 degrees warmer is not warm. And our current temperature is 14. So it's going up a little bit as we're clouding up, and we have a slight chance of some light snow. All right, a little cooler there in the Midwest and the Southeast. Current temperatures, we're still looking at low teens here in Iowa. But yeah, you see 20s up there, North Dakota, South Dakota, even some places in South Dakota above freezing this morning. Kind of crazy. So that is quite a warm up. But cool in the Midwest, or cold, I should say, in the Midwest and in the Southeast. I mean, we have 20s again all the way through Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And you see 32 there for, I think that's Panama City. And 30s and 40s all the way through the rest of the peninsula, 50 in Miami, though. Surface for today. Here we go. This has already begun. We're starting to see some ice and snow in parts of Texas, West Texas, moving into Central Texas, heading towards Dallas. And starting out as ice in some areas, but also some light snow. Could see some heavy snow, Oklahoma, Arkansas, later tonight. And then that freezing rain and snow heading into the Mid-South. And light snow through the Midwest, like here we're expecting maybe up to ½ inch by tonight with a little bit of a system moving through, but it's not going to be a lot. Tomorrow's surface, main event for many on this storm, especially Arkansas into Tennessee, heavy snow possible here, even into Kentucky. There could be areas of freezing rain as well. And as we get into the weekend, some of that freezing rain moving into South Carolina and parts of North Carolina. Along the coast, it's going to be some heavy rain. Pacific Northwest, another storm moving in. Rain along the coast, rain or snow otherwise. Maybe some heavy snow up there in Idaho. Freezing rain possible, parts of Montana. And the Great Lakes, we're going to turn on the snow jets again as we get into next week. All right, real quick, 48-hour precipitation. This is a little bit of a repeat, but bears talking about, because we didn't really talk about the heavy rain, say for Houston. You could see up to 2 inches of rain getting into parts of Louisiana, and then further to the north, some of that's going to be freezing rain. But some pretty good rains south of the freezing rain line in the southeast. And for the Oregon coast, up to maybe ½ an inch of rain and snow in the mountains up there, of course. And then just kind of another like zoomed out look at our snow expected in the next 48 hours. And you see the bullseye pretty much is Arkansas into eastern Oklahoma, a little bit of southern Missouri too. Yeah, they could use more snow, right? And this shows a little bit more snow for you, Memphis, maybe up to 6 inches. And then looking ahead to the beginning of the weekend, surface on Saturday, as our little system here in the north clears eastward, we've got some cold air poised to move in by Monday. But you can see that cold front way up there in the northern plains, upper Midwest. Meanwhile, the storm exiting, our mid-south storm exiting North Carolina, and then we're going to start to turn on the snow jets in the Great Lakes. All right, let's take a look at the European this morning. It's the ECMWF at 12Z, which is 6 a.m. Central Time. We do see some light snow here through parts of the northern plains. And here's our rain and snow and freezing rain from New Mexico into West Texas, starting to get into the Red River areas. And as we go through this morning, this is 9 o'clock, you see the snow really increasing from like Childress, and again along that Highway 82 corridor, Henrietta and Nocona, Munster. The kolaches in Munster are amazing. Heavy snow down here in Oklahoma, and we see snow back towards eastern New Mexico. This is 9. This is noon. We see the snow increasing in Dallas now. A little bit of freezing rain south of that, and also Oklahoma picking up on the snow. 3 o'clock this afternoon, spreading into Arkansas now. Rain, snow, freezing rain, Dallas, depending on where you are. And then it's heavy rain down along the Gulf Coast, light snow, Texas Panhandle mostly. And here's our light snow moving through the upper Midwest. We might see some of this afternoon and evening here in Iowa, up to a ½ inch. So it'll be nice. All right, so 3 o'clock this afternoon, is that right? Let me back up. I'll do some easier math. No, it's 6 o'clock tonight. Okay. So Kansas getting some snow into Oklahoma and Arkansas, some ice, heavy rain south of that. 9 o'clock tonight, heavy snow moving out of Dallas, further east now, moving into Arkansas. We see that area of ice as well. Lighter snow north, heavy rain south. This is midnight tonight, kind of prime time for Arkansas with the heavy snow. Some freezing rain along the Louisiana border, light snow for Missouri, heavy snow probably for Paris, Texas still hanging in there, heavy rain, East Texas into Louisiana. This is 3 a.m. It's starting to move into northern Mississippi. 6 a.m., heavy snow, Arkansas, northern Mississippi, Memphis, getting into Alabama now. Where was I? I think this is 9 in the morning. There we go. Still snowing pretty good all the way from Arkansas through Tennessee and into Kentucky now, and also getting into northern Georgia. And we get to noon Central Time, all of Tennessee getting snow, much of Kentucky, northern Alabama, into South Carolina now seeing some snow. Also, not to be left out, Indiana, Illinois. As we get into the afternoon, still snowing in the Mid-South and in the Midwest. A little bit of ice for you, South Carolina, but also snow. Northern South Carolina getting into Kentucky. North Carolina and Kentucky and the Midwest. Still snowing as we get into the evening hours. Starting to clear the Memphis area, but still snowing. And your snow is turning to more freezing rain, South Carolina, with snow in North Carolina as we get into midnight Friday night, early Saturday morning, and then as we get into the day Saturday, the storm exits. And then, just widely scattered light snow in the Rockies and the West. But I do want to show you what happens now that this storm leaves. We're going to start to see the snow. Well, here's some snow for Iowa that's going to miss us here in western Iowa. It looks like more central Iowa and east, and getting into Wisconsin, where they're calling it the Wisconsin Donut Snow Hole. There's no snow on the ground here, so maybe a little bit as we get into the weekend. And as we go, that system moving into the Great Lakes, cold air spilling in behind. So it's going to get cold here again in the Midwest starting on Monday, and also starting on Monday into Tuesday, we really start to turn on the snow jets on the Great Lakes. And so that's going to be an issue as we get into next week, along with the cold up here in the northern plains, Midwest, into the Northeast, and windy too off those lakes with that lake effect snow. And 8 to 14 day temperatures kind of reflects that return of the cold air. So it's expected to stay below average January 16 through 22nd, especially along the East Coast and Southeast. Alaska on the warm side, and Hawaii really on the warm side. Precipitation, rain and snow all over the place except for the west. But otherwise, a good chance of above average precipitation January 16 through 22. All right, it has begun, our southern snowstorm. Hopefully not too much ice we'll go for the European on that one and hope that comes true. But it looks like a good snowstorm for a lot of people. And I think we outlined it fairly well. And as it continues to move east, of course, we'll keep you updated as it goes. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning right here on the Weather Mic.